Are you on a GLP-1 and struggle with your sleep? Well, let me tell you that I have some tips that could probably help you learn how to sleep better. So, first of all, welcome to my channel. My name is Dina, and this is my channel, Living Mosaic. And thank you so much for joining me today. I want to start off by saying I'm not a doctor, and this is not doctor advice. And I'm not your mental health therapist, so I'm not going to be giving you specific mental health recommendations. But I want to talk about sleep. And I've noticed some people out there struggling. So I want to share some of the things that I do that I feel really help me get the best sleep possible. So the first thing I want to show you is a breakdown of my sleep over the past few months. So I'm going to start with my August report, which this is my data that my phone, or not my phone, but my smartwatch tracks, and it shows the average amount of sleep. So I'm always shooting for between 7 and 9 hours of sleep for quality sleep, and I'm always watching for quality sleep. So let me show you the data trends for August. And this chart here shows that I have average of 7.5 hours of sleep in the month of August. Some nights I had more, and there was a few sprinkled in that I did not have a higher amount of sleep that I would have wanted to. But on average, it's 7.5 hours. And then I'm going to move over to September, and it's right about the same, close to 7.5 hours for the average of the whole month of sleeping per night. Again, there were a few of those nights that were sprinkled in. I just didn't get as much sleep, but I'm always shooting for that goal. And I find that it is really important to have sleep goals and to get the best sleep, and I'm going to tell you why here in a minute. And then here's just a snippet of October so far. And I was sick last week, still recovering a little bit, but I allowed myself to sleep a lot. So my average so far in October is 8.5 hours of sleep. But you can see some of those were really up there, like 10, 11, close to 12 hours of sleep. I wanted to make myself feel better and restore myself. So it calculates how long I was awake during the night, what my REM sleep was, light sleep and deep sleep, as well as heart rate, respiratory, and stress. So I really do like the way that this tracker on my watch keeps all of those in place. Now, I got a little bit of information from an article I read from UCLA Health, and I'm going to kind of summarize a little bit about what it says. Now, it does say it's good to get between 7 and 9 hours sleep, which is kind of the goals that I already have set. Sleeping 8 hours, just gives you that extra boost in energy. And when you sleep, it's important to get a good quality sleep so that your hormones produced properly. Okay. Now, two of the main hormones, and this article was specific to weight management, two of the main hormones that are affected by poor sleep is leptin and ghrelin. Now, these two appetite regulating hormones will fluctuate depending on whether you have good sleep or bad sleep. So sleep deprivation will create an imbalance in those two hormones. Now with leptin, that is the satiety hormone, so you want that to be up because that's good. You do not want to have that drop because then you won't feel full. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone, and that one, if it's down, it's good. Otherwise, if it's up, you are going to feel hungry more. And in turn, you're going to have excessive cravings. So this is going to affect your cravings. And that brain chemical reward system is going to be affected to the point where you're probably going to see yourself want to eat things, more junk food, sugar, go for those, impulsive stops through drive-through or getting a sugary drink at some point. So sleep deprivation and low quality sleep greatly affects those two hormones. Now, I believe this to be 100% true because prior to taking my GLP-1 medication, I was drinking, I thought I was doing great by quit drinking pop. And what I did was I switched and I did lemonade and sweet tea. So I was still having the sugary drinks. And I also slept very poorly. I remember struggling so badly to get up in the morning. And I've shared this with my coworkers and other people. I felt like I could barely pull myself out of bed. That's how horrible it was for me prior to taking my GLP-1 medication. And if you watched my last video, I talk about how my blood work has improved, and I'll go ahead and post that there if you want to check it out. But I felt something was drastically wrong with me, and that's what made me really try to get some help. And I was finally willing to take help from the recommendation that my doctor was giving me, which was, hey, there's this medication called Mounjaro, and it can help you with your A1C, and it can help you with your weight. So, 2 birds with 1 stone. I definitely took that on, and it's been wonderful progress since along the journey. But let's get back to sleep. Okay, my sleep was terrible. Could barely function. So tired during the day. Nothing was working. I thought even a couple times, and I'm not a coffee drinker really at all, hardly ever. But I was to the point where I was like, oh, let me go get a coffee or let me go get a sweet tea because I needed to feel like I had energy. And I wasn't eating right either. So this was just a huge, big snowball effect of poor health that was happening to me. And when you have the poor sleep due to poor health, what are you going to do? You're going to have more poor health and poor eating habits because of those reward system cravings. So it was just a lose-lose situation. Now, some of the things that I do to get my best sleep possible is I avoid caffeine. I was already kind of on that pathway to stop drinking pop. Pepsi, I loved it. Coke or Pepsi, that was my thing for most of my life. However, I had quit drinking Diet Cola, decades ago because of the chemicals in it I didn't want. So I said, okay, I'll switch to regular sugar soda, which definitely helped put on the pounds, right? And it was also affecting my sleep tremendously in a very bad way. And so I avoided the caffeine. Now, all of these things that I'm talking about right now with these tips for best sleep really came into play 100% when I started my GLP-1 journey. So avoiding caffeine at all costs. Yes, I did that. And it's been wonderful. It's really helped. I also feel like it's helped with the function of my heart, not having that caffeine, not feeling jittery, not feeling high anxiety, because I feel like caffeine did cause that effect in me. The next one for that I would definitely recommend is a proper sleep hygiene routine. And if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. But in a nutshell, it's basically creating an environment for yourself that's really going to be essential for the most effective and efficient sleep. Okay, so sleep hygiene for me is no devices. I turn off all Wi-Fi. Nothing in my sleeping area in my room has any Wi-Fi in it. I completely turn it off. Also, I create a cozy environment, which is, and for many people this can be different, it's quiet, dark, cool. So cozy, quiet, dark, and cool. Those are the 4 things. And when I say cozy, that would be like making sure I have the blankets I want, my pillows the way I want them, the bed the way I want it. I want it to be quiet. I don't want a bunch of noise. Dark, as in no big lights on, no night lights, anything like that. That's going to affect me. And cool. Now, I'm not one of those people that I don't really run hot, so I don't want it to be super cold, but I do run a fan all year long, even if it's not on me. I kind of run it to where it's away from me, but I can still hear the noise. So for me, that's relaxing and comforting, is to have that fan noise, even if it's on a cooler evening and I don't want the air directly on me. That's something that I do. And having the bedtime routine is really important. Also on my smartwatch, I was able to put a 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. wind down alarm. And so what that means is it's going to remind me, because I get stuck in things and I'm, busy or, whatever. So it reminds me 9 o'clock, time to get ready for sleepy time, right? And it's really no different than when you're getting a child ready for bed. They like to have their routine and it helps keep things stable, right? And it's the same thing for us. And when we have the routine and that wind down time, we are mindfully recognizing that all energy needs to come down. All stress needs to come down. So basically, I will say to my kids, business hours are over. If you have anything to talk to me about it before 9 p.m., because 9 p.m. is the time I really want to just relax and calm down for myself, so that I know that I can have the best restful sleep. And a big part of that is not engaging in stressful conversations. So, and my kids are teenagers, so it's not like they're little and they don't understand that. So they definitely do understand that. Okay. Another thing that I would recommend that works well for me is relaxing and practicing relaxation techniques, like doing a nice calm breath. And the kind of breath that I like to do for me is just taking a deep breath in my nose. I hold that for about 4 seconds and slowly breathe out my mouth. And I do that 3 times in a row. So that's the breath work that I like to do. Also, what helps me get in a nice, calm mood, if I choose to read from a book, not from a device, because that tends to, all the pixels and the light and everything from the phone or the tablet or whatever just has the opposite effect. But reading and having that nice, just a book in front of you, reading back and forth, it just tires the eyes out naturally. And so I like that. And one of the things I may or may not do on any given evening. Another thing that can be done is slow stretching. Kind of like, think of like how a cat will stretch. They'll just take their time and they just kind of do their little thing. And so nice, slow stretching, being intentional about your stretch and doing some of that breath work with it really helps relax. Another one is positive visualization. And it's kind of like, this is the way I describe it. It's like telling yourself a story in your mind. You can put yourself in a place wherever you want to be. You could be going on a trip. Where will you go? What will you wear? Pull all your five senses into that. What is it? What does it sound like where you're going? What do you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? What can you touch or feel, taste? Those different things. Just kind of pull it all in and tell yourself a story. And sometimes that can help you be just really relaxed. It's a nice story wherever you want it to be. And then finally, another one that helps me immensely is prayer. Sometimes my mind is really, really just going, 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 going. And so that's when I kind of tune in to prayer with God and just kind of ask for his help in just kind of calming my mind. And I find that to be very helpful. Now, another thing that I like to use are a couple different supplements. And one is berberine. Now, berberine is, this is the one I take currently right here. I get it on Amazon. And it should be down in my description code under supplements. You'll see that. And if that's something that interests you, I find it to be very helpful to help with sleep. I don't take it every evening, but I have it on hand in case I feel like I really just want to have an extra boost in my sleep. And berberine is a neuroprotective supplement. It gives that support. It promotes gut microbiome regulation. It regulates blood sugar and it reduces inflammation, especially in the brain, which can help calm you down. Because when the brain is inflamed, it can also create insomnia. So that's not a good thing. The other supplement that I use, and I've been using this for years, is magnesium glycinate. And that's also down in my description list for my supplements. I've been taking this for many, many years. And magnesium glycinate is a nice calming magnesium. It improves restorative sleep. It relaxes muscles. And it increases natural melatonin. I am not a melatonin taker. I feel that it makes me groggy. And that's really why I switched to berberine. I had tried the melatonin once. A friend told me about the berberine. And for me, it works nice. I can sleep through the night. And let's just say I did wake up to use the restroom and then come back to bed. It doesn't keep me up like melatonin did. Once I'm up with melatonin, it's so hard to get back to sleep. So that was not an effective supplement for me. And I definitely choose the berberine. And for this one is a, I think it says a 5,052.79 milligrams. And I only take one. So for both of these, the berberine and the magnesium, I only take one in the evening. And like I said, the berberine is as needed. So I know that a lot of people are struggling with insomnia out there. And I would think that some of these tips, if you utilize them, should definitely help with insomnia. Like I said, the big one was the caffeine. That's just what it is. The big one was the caffeine. I feel like having that caffeine chemical was creating bad effects for me with sleep, even if I had it earlier in the day, because I thought I was going to be smart and switch from having it any time of day to only regulating it for maybe a lunchtime thing. It still didn't work. So the caffeine was a big one. And if you drink a lot of caffeine, maybe that's something you would want to take a look into to make sure that you can kind of cut back on that and see if it can help you. But those are some of the basic things that I do. There's probably other things that you could do. You could Google the sleep hygiene and just kind of see what else it says. But ultimately, and this is the big takeaway for today, is when you sleep well, you have that energy that you need to be productive in the day. And when you have that energy, it also gives you good mental health clarity. So it supports your mental health functioning, which is very important because we all have to work, most of us. So being able to have a clear mind, a good focus is super important, and sleep is going to promote that. So hopefully that information has really helped and given you something new to look at and think about. At the end of my videos, I like to do the living self-care rally. And I just kind of cross my hands here and I do a little butterfly flutter nice and slow. And I say, I matter. I am valued. I am loved. And I am a living mosaic. And you indeed are a living mosaic. And I thank you so much for joining me. Subscribe, like, share. And for those of you who want to know what my Living Word Bible verse is, it is from Psalm 4:8. In peace I will both lie down and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. So I hope that this message finds you well. I hope that it has encouraged you and given you support and value. And I really do hope that if you're struggling with sleep, that you take to heart some things that you might need to adjust in your life so that you can have better sleep, sweeter sleep, because we all need that extra boost and that energy for the next day. So thank you so much for joining me again. Subscribe to my channel if you find value. Comment below and let me know how you're sleeping. Give me one of your tips that you use to help with sleep. I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear your feedback. And until next time, thanks for joining me. And remember, you are a living mosaic.